morning, everybody. This is session 01. We'll be starting soon. Please stand by. Good morning. This is Finding the Thread, session 01. Today is not about finding traffic. Earlier this week, I discovered something that framed this entire city. Our primary water treatment plant was sitting inside the most heavily polluted industrial zone we have in the city. In real life, that wouldn't just be inefficient. It would be dangerous. So today we're addressing it properly. The city is also labeled as a thriving metropolis, as you will see. It has only about $350 million in the bank, just only. So it's on paper, it's thriving. But when you look underneath at company profitability, fleet utilization, pollution exposure, and tax composition, a very different picture starts to emerge. Industrial businesses are carrying 6- and 7-figure debt. Commercial efficiency is suppressed. Delivery fleet sit idle, with some of the businesses using 0 or 2 out of the 5 trucks they actually have available for deliveries. Not because the demand is missing, but because the system cannot move the goods because of the gridlock. And yet the city remains solvent despite all of these things we just mentioned. So that's the illusion we're auditing today within the city. So what's holding this economy together isn't production, it's actually residential tax revenue quietly subsidizing failure elsewhere. Households are masking logistics and infrastructure. And it looks like that's actually what's happening, but in reality, it's all collapsing. So in this session, we'll do 3 things. First, we'll prove the illusion using overlays, looking at budget data and real company business sheets for the business that we will allow to stay after our pruning is completed. Second, we'll isolate the root causes: environmental exposure, misplaced utilities, road hierarchy, violations that broke pathfinding and froze the supply chains. We will relocate critical infrastructure that should have never been in the locations that they are presently. We will prune undermining buildings to reduce systematic load. We will also restore proper road hierarchy, especially along Heather, Sycamore, Birch, and Emerson, so freight and local traffic are no longer competing for survival. We will also not be saving every business, so I want to set that expectation in the beginning. Bankrupt, structurally unsalvageable firms will be dezoned, not as a punishment, but to reduce noise and restore signal for the remaining businesses that are in the areas. So by the end, we will rebuild around what still works. We'll hopefully have 2 contained industrial parks. Once the blob is rehabilitated, we'll end up with clean water, clear movement, and a system that can finally breathe. If this works, the city just won't be healthy and look healthy. It will actually be healthy. And so let's go ahead. Let's start the thread here. So we will go and look over the game. So you can see here, let me go ahead, give me one moment. And we will go ahead and lower the audio here for a second. All right. So we should, as you can see here, it's a huge blob. It's kind of embarrassing. I really don't know what I was thinking, and I think that's part of the problem is that I was not thinking. I was, as most of you probably are, I was chasing the demand bars. And as you can see right here, if we zoom in, it becomes quite apparent that I have connectors acting as arterials. So right here, you can see Sycamore is fairly backed up, pretty bad. And then it goes here to Heather. So we have our first major bottleneck here on Sycamore, here on Highland, and right here on Heather Street. And we have this little broken connection on Moore Highway. So before we get further into this, one thing I would want to point out, this is not a lack of understanding how to design or a system or being incompetent, as it were. This is more of rushing, chasing bars, not really making a plan, not spending the 2 or 3 hours that it takes to lay out a city, to really plan what the city's going to look like, how it's going to function. And when you don't do those things, you end up with disasters like this. And I don't think any of us are above this if we don't plan properly. So even right here, you will see there are office buildings and they're level 2 and level 3, no level 5s. And it's because they're really not in the right zone. They're just not in the right zone. And then here we have a water treatment plant. So that's going to be one of the first things we move, because why would I put a water treatment plant in one of the most polluted areas within the game is the problem here. So if we look, we have all of this red. Very bad, right? We should not have the water treatment plant where all of this metal and contamination and all these bad things are happening that are going into the ground. And then this poor station here is trying to clear up all of the contaminants so people don't get sick. And that's why I said earlier, in real life, this would be quite dangerous, causing people to become ill, and unfortunately, over time, would more than likely lead to fatalities. So that's definitely going to be one of the key things we focus on is moving this. Another thing is you would not see a megaplex of a power supply chain in the heart of a city this close to downtown. We'll talk about downtown later. That's not really the focus, but this, you can see there's a circle right here in the middle. So the original plan, so I did plan a bit, it just got lost in translation once again when I started to chase the bars here. So the main things that we want to do here today is move the water treatment plant to a more isolated area, and then we want to find a dedicated area for our power plants, and then we're going to prune down this gridlock nightmare, or as I call the industrial blob, because that's exactly what it is. It is a massive blob that just makes no sense whatsoever. If we go ahead and we look at the traffic map, it's pretty bad. I mean, areas over here aren't too horrible, but we could do a lot better and make this a lot more efficient. So if we look down at the bottom here, we have $355 million in the bank. So I know some people would ask, well, Curtis, why are you going ahead, or GameWeaver, why are you going ahead and deleting or pruning a lot of businesses? So what we're going to do, and this is going to take some time, I believe this stream is going to be about 2 to 3 hours. We're going to look at the different businesses, level 3, level 4. We'll see which ones are doing well. They will stay. And primarily what we want to do is look for level 1 to 3 buildings and purge those, so that we have a good amount of area freed up here. That's going to allow us to decide how we're going to reroute the roads. Some roads will become one way. We will correct the highway issue here, so trucks can actually get on easier where they're coming in, and they're being able to exit the highway more efficiently. So that's going to free up this awful gridlock that we have here, because these trucks are not moving. And as you guys know, over time, if the trucks cannot move, they give up and they will disappear. They will disappear. So backing up a little bit. So once we start beginning the pruning process of removing level 1 through level 3 buildings, that's going to free up a lot of the space. That's going to allow us to see exactly what the road hierarchy will look like at that point. Some of this we might get done today. If we don't, that's okay. We'll move that over to session 2, and we'll put a pin in things and see where we're going to go from there. Another major issue that I noticed, and I think that this is also a common thing where people are like, okay, I don't want the bus station, the main bus station, to be close to the vicinity of businesses or residents, which is smart because people don't want to live next to something that's so noisy. So we will move this. I do want to create a transit station, but I don't want it to be in the heart of the city. I want it to be a bit off, just because once we get to this part, and I'm speaking in the future here, and probably several episodes down the line, I really want to make this a focal point, because you can see how I spent time making this circular road, and yet everything got lost in translation. You can't even see what the design is here. So that's a project for the future. Another thing that I noticed is that when you build slowly, and this goes back to what I said earlier, of creating your hierarchy for your roads in the first 2 to 3, 4 hours of the game, it actually saves you a lot of time. So I think that people inadvertently think that, okay, if I don't spend the time in beginning, I'll still be able to make a good looking city. And you're flying by the seats of your pants doing things that way, where those 2 or 3 hours seem insignificant over time, because you're no longer having to go back and fix things. So I do plan on, probably not today, but I do plan on showing you guys my current city, where I have multiple industrial parks spread throughout the city. Traffic is not a problem. It's mostly in the green. Another thing, the leveling of the buildings in this particular city are really, really, really bad. Another thing, company profitability. So in my most recent city, my average industrial profit is actually up to 88%, and here it's at 66%. And that was part of the reason I wanted to start off with the industrial park, is because I was like, well, what did I do differently? Did I design? No, I didn't lay out my city. The hierarchy of the city was not different. Yes, of course, the city looks different, but the mechanics and laying out the roads, that wasn't different per se. I actually built the city slowly so that the growth was organic, and the topography told me where to place things. And here I forced different industrial zones and residential zones to where they're at. So to show this, I mean, you can see that there's just no organization here. There's no there of like, well, okay, what were we trying to accomplish? What were we trying to do here? And we have all these mini downtowns. So let me turn off the map here. And we have all these mini downtowns. And it's like, okay, well, this was the airport area. And I just plopped the airport here. And then that turned into, okay, we're going to create suburbs over here. Okay, we're going to make a seaport that, you know, so it was just a lot of bouncing around and not finishing things in the moment. And as you can see, when you do that, you end up with infrastructure that's one, that's overbuilt, two, that just needs a lot of work, and roads that are barely getting used because when you chase the bars, you're building in the moment. So by the end of this, none of this is going to be the same. But yeah, this is what happens when you chase bars and you're building and you're building and you're building, and you don't really have a solid plan, and you're not building slowly or intentionally, and you end up with things. So we will start here. We'll look around for level 1 businesses, primarily level 1 and level 2. Sycamore right now, as I said, is a connector that's acting like an arterial. We are going to make Sycamore a 1-lane road, and then I believe we'll probably make Briar Rose Street 1-way, and then we'll create some highway connections probably over here. We'll decide where we're going to add a transit hub, because I definitely need to add a rail system here, which will also help to alleviate some of the traffic issues that we're having in this area. As you can see, there's also tram rail here. We'll see what's being utilized, how many people are using these over here, and this might also get consolidated back into town and maybe just have 1 or 2 paths that come out to the industrial park. Because right now that was also just not, as you can see, well thought out. It was an afterthought. Like I said, this is what happens when you don't plan for the future. You're just chasing bars. And this is why laying out your road in the beginning is so important, because if you have ideas for tram, if you lay the road out, you can say, okay, well, I want the tram to be, okay, this is going to be my main road, and I want the tram to run here. Whereas if you're building to react instead of being proactive, you're going to end up with stuff like this. So then you're laying tram wherever you can get it in, and you're just trying to make something work. And it's like, okay, this is probably a really a big logistical nightmare here. So before we begin the level 1s, let's find somewhere to move our water treatment plant. We want this to be isolated, far away from any pollution or people. So we probably can put it out here. And if you guys have any ideas of where we should start, where we should relocate the power plant complex, let me know. And then we also need to look at the wind map. So that'll kind of help us determine where this can and cannot get placed. So the wind is blowing this way, so we would probably want the industrial. Well, we let's see here. Well, we do have all of this land over here, so we could put it over here. We do not own that land yet, so I say that we probably will buy a tile or two to move the power plant And we have, you see, we have power plants over here, the wind. We have more power plants up here and right here. So we're gonna go ahead and move these all into a proper mega complex where it's going to be thoughtful. We're going to think about the layout of it and make it look like an actual place or district rather than just a section that houses our power. Let's go ahead and back out of here. We'll I think we'll purchase these 2 tiles because I don't really want it to be right next to the mountain. So we'll purchase these 2 tiles. And as you can see, like, even though the industry is actually not even holding, and this was the main thing that I saw outside of the mess that's out there that made me think, okay, industry should actually lead the economy, not be subsidized by commercial and residential. So once we're finished moving the industrial zones, creating 2 in this area over here, and moving them strategically throughout the city, by the end, the hope is to have an industry leading commercial and residential as they do in real life, because they actually are supposed to feed the economy, not be subsidized by residential or commercial taxation. So let's go ahead, and we need to move the water plant first, so we won't worry about the power. I just wanted to have an idea where the power plant is going to go, so we'll work on that later because I don't want to rush any of this. The whole purpose here is to think methodically and decide where things make the most sense, and it'll be its permanent, quote unquote, permanent home. So as you can see right here, we have water pumps right near residents. Like, yeah, the noise level here isn't all that bad, but you typically aren't going to be that close to your water system. So we'll more than likely need to find. So see, this is what I'm saying. Planning is so important in looking at the heat maps. This water system's exhausted. So here's an area we might need to go ahead and buy new tiles, or yeah, this is really close to the industrial zone, and we were talking about putting the power plant over here, so we probably wouldn't want to put this over here because you can see the ground pollution leaking in to the water system. So that would be a major problem, so that's going to be a no. We do have water system here. This suburban area might get pruned as well. So this could be a place where, and actually I think this is, so we need to think this through a little bit better. So here's an option for the water supply treatment center, or we can place it over here, but we have the track here. So we could possibly do this. We would need to buy like 2 or 3 more tiles, which wouldn't necessarily be as efficient when we just bought two tiles right here for the future placement of our new power industrial zone. I don't know if you guys are here in the comments. Let me know where we should put the water treatment plant. I'm thinking possibly here. And as I said, we're going to rework this residential area, suburban area, just because, once again, this was an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, everybody lives downtown. There's really no suburbs. Okay, let's pop a quick suburb right here. Let's pop a quick suburb right here and right here, without really thinking. So I mean, if we think about it, if we put the water treatment plant over here, we wouldn't be able to use this shoreline if the city will in fact end up becoming coastal, which it already is coastal on this side because of the seaport. But we wouldn't have, if we put the water complex right here. Yeah, technically we could build out still this way and have houses, enjoy the shoreline and make some beaches. But I think that would be kind of awkward driving through or by a water treatment facility to the beach. The most logical place is here or over here. But once again, we wouldn't be able to put the power plant complex right over here. We could, this is probably the most likely area. It's far enough away where the city can still expand outward and this will still remain isolated. So that's why I'm not indecisive. It's thinking about multiple things at once and considering what will happen in the future as we expand. And as I said, if we put it here, it might work for a while, because remember, the whole point of the water treatment plant was to make it so that it felt isolated. Only service vehicles were going there. If traffic's going through, it's going to be like a dirt road like you would see in real life. So it's not going to be an area where we're going to see a whole lot of traffic. So that's why I'm thinking up here is the most logical place that, as time goes on, throughout rebuilding this blob of a city that really has no identity at the moment, because once again, we were chasing bars instead of building deliberately and intentionally. This is probably where we're going to want our new water treatment facility. So that's where we're going to start. I'm thinking we might need to wait a bit, just because I don't want to start throwing down roads, or we could put temporary roads down that lead here. We can go ahead and keep the permanent structure out here, but there's roads to access the area. Those will be temporary until after we complete the pruning process and relay the hierarchy of the roads in the industrial zone. So that's what I'm thinking here. So yeah. So after we get a lot of this cleared up and we end up seeing two distinct industrial areas, and we have a lot of free ground here to work with, we'll see what roads are going to stay. The main roads we know that are going to stay, as I mentioned earlier. Sycamore's going to stay. Emerson's going to stay. Birch is going to stay. So once we get the power plant complex out of here, these two main roads will, I guess you can say, they'll act as our grand boulevard. More than likely, I'll make them one lanes. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to make a decision just for the sake of making decisions. We'll see what actually works and what makes sense from a traffic standpoint, to make sure things move as efficiently as possible. So a lot of moving parts, you guys. It's a lot of things to think about, and that's why you have to slow down to speed up, because as I said, if I would have taken the time to not chase bars and laid out the city properly, you don't spend time doing this. And that's not just me, that's anyone that doesn't really plan. It's like, oh, I have these grand ideas without actually having an idea. We're chasing the demand bars to unlock milestones, to get those newest features in the game, and your people, your simulated people, they suffer. They're suffering. I mean, could you imagine living all the way over here and having to drive into this awful area, taking about an hour? Like, just imagine if you lived over here, right? You lived over here and you have to go through this nightmare of a road system. And then when you finally get here, oh, look at it, we have some bottlenecks. I can't even get inside where I work, and then I work way over here in Chestnut Street, on Chestnut Street at Dryman's, and it took me an hour and a half because the infrastructure is so awful, and there's bottlenecks. And if there's no traffic, it actually takes me about 25 minutes to get here from my house. So yes, thank you, City of New Alderaan, for not planning properly. That was great of you guys to do that. Thank you very much. So yes, so back to the water treatment. We are going to go ahead and purchase these 2 tiles or 3 tiles, however many we need. Because as I said, even if the budget takes a hit after we start pruning, that's fine. We have money in the bank. We're making almost 400,000 an hour. So if we have a temporary deficit in our money per hour, that is fine. We have over $357 million in the bank, and the simulation can run for quite a while in the red if it's absolutely necessary for us to get the city where it needs and it deserves to be. So go ahead and purchase those 2. Let's see if that's enough for us to get the design that we need. And it is the majority of it. So I think just for the sake of having things be cohesive and not having to worry about restructuring and relaying out things, we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm looking at the gradient to see if we need to go ahead. And we want to respect the topography, right? As a city planner always says, right? I am gonna go ahead and fill in this area. I don't really want to be bothered with this. And we're going to need to figure out how to get the road up this mountain. And I want to use it without, we're going to need to do that without anarchy, just to make this realistic. So yes, we are going to grade all of this so that we have a nice, happy, even fill here. So let's go ahead and make this brush smaller. And yeah, this is going to be, this is quite interesting. Yeah, this is yeah, this is yikes. Yeah, this is yikes. Yeah, this is a really steep mountain. This is really steep. Let's see. This is just to see. Yep, this is okay. Not too awful. All right. Well, that's what I was afraid of. So that is too steep. Yeah, could you imagine going down this mountain? You feel like you're skiing. That's really, really, really steep. Oops. I just messed that up badly, didn't I, guys? Ha ha ha. It's too deep. Huh. There we go. All right, so we will call this our temporary road, right? I think we can do a lot better than this. Even for a temporary road, this is just really bad. I mean, could you imagine going up here? I mean, I guess there's roads like this in California, like the US, I think it's US 1 or US 10 in California, right off of the sea coast. We don't need too many big roads up here for this area, just because it's really should only be the employees and then of course service vehicles coming up here. So the idea, we'll have like a main, we'll create this main to here, and then we'll make some use some local roads to lay this out the way we want it. So let's go ahead and grab the water treatment plant. And I do have move it, so we'll just, yes, in real life, we would not just be able to move buildings, we would have to destroy it and lay it back down. But here, this is a game, so we have certain liberties that we will take. And we will put this here. Let's just go ahead and get this connected so we have power to our properly placed and healthy water treatment facility that is no longer in the middle of ground pollution hell over here. And I know that the office buildings are really happy that their water is no longer going to be poisoned. So we will we'll place some local roads. And we want, like I said, the main thing is to make this feel like a place in a district, not just somewhere where we just slapped utilities down. We want it to look nice. People actually work here, right? And then we want, the reason you want to plan your roads ahead of time, because when you go through neighborhoods or you go through industrial zones, you notice there's always a lot of land around it. And that's for future development because they don't know what they're going to do with that land, right? So if you only build reactively, you're not thinking ahead for future land development. And by us leaving space like this, as you can see here, we do have upgrades. So look how big these are, right? So as you can see, yeah, so this actually connects there. So I'm actually going to need to remove the road. But my point is that if we build other things around a structure without thinking about the future and how we want this to be laid out nicely, then we're having to destroy buildings and trying to fix it versus taking the time to build out the areas that we want for our city that are going to work most efficiently and, more importantly, look nice. Because people want to live in areas and work in areas that are nice. That is the modern world. That's what we expect nowadays, and so do our Sims. So let's look at the water system again here to see. So we have plenty of area over here still and over here. So when we actually move in our water pumps, they won't interfere with the upgrades that we'll have out here. And as you guys just saw, that the advanced filtering system actually has to connect directly to the main building. So I will need to go ahead and remove some of these roads, which we will do right now. Just trying to think what side I want them on. So I guess we'll have that back area because I wanted to make a walking path here with some green spaces to space everything out so it just doesn't feel congested and it's well balanced. So yeah, this cannot be, we cannot take this off of this area. It has to be attached to the main building. I'm thinking that we remove that road right there and we have this placed here. And then what we will do is we'll design that road, put that there. And then we can design, because we still want to have a parking lot area, and that's actually what was going to be over here. More than likely was a parking lot area for employees. We'll just take that out here. Okay. So we have that. We have plenty of room. These we can move more freely. We'll probably keep this area open. Let's have more green space right here. So I think that we will go ahead and put another. We'll go all the way down that way. We'll go here. And yeah, that's not supposed to be a one-way road. We do not need that right now, currently in this area. As I said, the traffic in this area should be pretty controlled, and it really should only consist of emergency vehicles. One second, let's see. I mean, not emergency vehicles, service vehicles. Oh, I apologize about that. So that should give us, I'm not going to build. Yeah, okay. Excellent. All right, so we have enough room there for that. I'm not building those yet. But like I said, you guys, when you lay out your roads and you think about the upgrades, and even if the buildings don't have upgrades, it's still best to make your designs to where you're leaving area for future development, just in case your ideas change or your city gets so big that you need to add more water facilities. So making an isolated area like this, you have one dedicated area, so you're no longer having to waste time demolishing things. Or if you don't want to expand anymore, you're not worried about buying new tiles, managing new tiles, because you know those come with a cost each time you buy a tile. So we have water pumps here, and then we have this big facility over here. Which, as you can see, the efficiency, these poor things are on their last leg. As you can see, the water icons, that means they're pretty much exhausted. So are these. The city is demanding way more water than what we're producing, and this just goes back to what I've been saying over and over again, is that when you chase bars and you're not building deliberately, you end up with infrastructure problems like this. So it's like, okay, the city's rich on paper, but at what expense? The people are suffering because there's not enough water, and we need to move those here so they're not working as hard. So let's turn back on our water map. I think let's give this a little character here. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. So we have those, and let's go ahead and move. Well, since these are 3, actually, let's go ahead and keep those there for now. We'll delete 3 of these because they shouldn't be right next to residential buildings like this. Those 3. We'll go ahead and add a couple parking lots. I'm not going to worry about detailing yet, but I kind of like to get an idea of how things are going to look with detailing. So I typically put down grass just so when I come back later, I know what I'm doing. I am going to turn on anarchy for this part. Cool. And then we'll outline this with bushes. I just don't want to cooperate, huh? It is amazing how a little bit of detailing goes a very, 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 very long way. Always amazes me. You don't have to do that much. I know some people are like, "Oh, well, I'm not a designer. I'm not a detailer." Um, you don't necessarily have to be. It's just little goes a long way to make things feel custom, and lived in. Yeah, look at that. There we go. Very nice, Amash. Very nice, very nice. Mm. Because I have anarchy on, it's going to allow me to draw over the surface of the grass. That's the only reason I'm able to do this. If anybody has a question why, well, how are they able to do that? Because I have anarchy on. That is not quite perfect, is it? I think the noises are really cool that you can hear the sound effects of the water fountains, but it's kind of distracting when you're focusing on trying to talk and the music, and it's like, oh, you're trying to listen to music, and it's like, oh, that water effect sounds cool, but I don't want to hear that right now. I'm not sure if I like that. Let's see if it needs detailing, or if not, I will just remove it, or we will, as I said, I'm not really supposed to be doing all this detailing right now, because we have a lot to do. Detailing just is not really our main focus at the moment. It is a focus, just not our current focus. Maybe we'll expand that out to the edges of the hedges. The edges of the hedges. We will expand it to the hedges, edges, ledges. So that this actually makes more sense. But yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. That actually makes more sense. I was thinking about having those here, but I like the green area being there, and then this lines it perfectly, just the way we wanted it to make it feel like an actual parking lot complex and not just plopped in the middle of this area. It actually feels like it actually was thought out and not an afterthought. Its placement. And there we go. We have the main entrance for employees into the water treatment facility. And we will do detailing over here to give each of these their own little extended parking areas and some custom detailing. But right now, the main focus is not the water treatment plant. That was just something that we needed to get moved to a much more logical area that's no longer having to filter through contaminants from the industrial area. And then next, so that's it, guys. I'm not planning on detailing a whole lot in these areas. The main focus is our industrial blob, but there are some items that we need to get moved out of the area so that we can begin work in this area in earnest. So the first thing, once again, was moving the water treatment plant from right over here. And once again, the reason we did that is because the ground pollution over here is so bad. As you can see, it's in red. It's the water treatment plant should have never been here. And that wasn't by design, of course. It was chasing bars. And I believe when I first started this city, the industrial zone was isolated to this area. And as the demand increased and not having a plan and not thinking things out, you end up just expanding outward. And then the water treatment plant ended up being in a very, very dangerous, polluted area. So that's why we went ahead and moved that first. The next thing I want to focus on is getting the power plants that are scattered throughout this area moved. The most important four are right here because these directly impact the industrial area we have right here. As far as the wind goes, that's taking this out this way, so it really isn't affecting the city, but it is on prime real estate, being that it's on water. So we will move that. The industrial complex is going to be in here. We might buy 2 more tile, or actually I think we might want to go out this way because I just don't see why we would put the power plants right next to the water treatment facility. So I'm thinking that we'll just go ahead and move it over here. So let's go ahead and buy those 2 more tiles. I don't want to buy all these tiles, but we have a very healthy profit. Let's see. And we're still at 480,000 an hour. That's going to drop. Even if we drop to 100,000 or so an hour after we begin the process of purging and pruning all of the low efficiency buildings, that's fine. That is the whole point of this. Yes, the population will drop. That's not really the main concern. The main concern is creating an industry that is efficient with meaningful jobs, because it's better to have less businesses in the industrial complex that are successful than a lot that are, you know, adding unnecessary weight and friction to the traffic and the freight lines. So yeah, so let's figure out let's take a look. Let's just make sure this is level as possible over here. I'm not going to grade the whole area down that way, but I want this to be as even as possible because, as I said, this is going to house, I'm not going to say forever, the entire power complex, but for now it will, and we need to make sure that we have even graded ground here. We don't run into any issues with things dipping in and uneven parking lots and all that jazz. So I'm thinking that we probably want to have some one-way roads to direct traffic in and out of here effectively. As I said, the majority of people that should be coming here should just be the residents that work in the area, and then service building vehicles for the buildings. themselves. So engineers, mechanics, all those good guys coming in to fix things when they need to be fixed. So which way? Well, the wind's blowing this way, if I recall correctly. I always just go to this. Yeah, the wind's blowing this way. But this is fine. The question is, what direction do we want the power plant to face? I would say more than likely probably this way, because the wind is blowing this way. So we have to be cognizant. So more than likely we're not going to build out here, because all of the pollutants, the air pollution from the power plant is going to go out this way. And we don't want that over here, because we're going to end up putting our freight in here. And that's something I have to work on even in my new cities. I never put freight in my cities for some odd reason. I don't know why. But we're going to add some here once we get to it. And then we need to have highway access. And I don't really want to extend the highway out here quite yet, just because the point of this live and in this series is to fix this town, to show what happens when you don't really think and you're just chasing bars. And this, once again, is probably the road that's going to come out here is going to be temporary, but we want to design the actual road hierarchy within the complex that's going to be over here. That'll be permanent. So, but the access point in roads will be temporary until, one, we get all of this completed, and then two, we redesign this nightmare of a nonsensical highway system. And the reason it looks nonsensical, one, it just wasn't planned out right. Two, I didn't take my time laying out the roads so they look nice. And then three, the demand really wasn't here for all of this to be here. And all of that's going to be fixed. So I guarantee you, I'll show you guys my new city. It's well thought out. It looks nothing like this. The only thing that changed between my older cities and my new city was slowing down and being more intentional with what I was doing. I didn't become a better City Skylines player, because I've actually played City Builder since I was a kid. So we're talking about decades of playing these types of games. And I'm not above being that person that, you know, rushes through the game to try to get those milestones, to get the coolest buildings, and that's what happened here. So I guess I give myself some grace. This was my first city, but it wasn't the first city I've ever built, and that's why it's a little bit ridiculous to me that it ended up being this discombobulated skyline of just confusion. So let us begin, shall we? All right. I'm trying to think. I think two-lane roads will be sufficient for this area. I was just trying to think if we needed an actual arterial, but maybe an arterial coming in. But the vast majority, the way that I'm thinking about it, is that the mass majority of the roads are just going to be local and connectors, because the only people that really should be in this area are employees, service vehicles, engineers, people that come in to fix stuff, and that's about it. There shouldn't really be. I mean, I guess freight, if any freight, it might be light to drop off whatever power plants need. but outside of that, it shouldn't be a truly high traffic area. So I'm thinking that we create a connector style arterial that goes one direction around the parameter of the complex, going back to the arterial from either side, and then of course the two-way roads between for easy accessibility by those that work in the area. So that's what I'm thinking here. I just don't know if I want it to be like I'm trying to get away from grid systems, or if I do have a grid that is broken up with roundabouts or cul-de-sacs, just to give it more visual depth and design complexity in a good way, where it actually just looks nice and it's not rinse and repeat and everything just looks the same, sterile and boring. All right, enough talking. Let's get started. So we're gonna do trying to be as thoughtful about this as possible, just because I want keep in mind, like I said, once we rework this highway system, I want to make sure that we have enough space on this side or right here so that we have the entry points from the highway once it's extended over here, because eventually we will come over here and rework this industrial seaport area, and so the highway will extend out here for quicker access for these buildings as well. So I'm just trying to plan and think ahead on that, so there's plenty of space over here for access to the highway. So there's little to no reworking of this area and the buildings that are over here. So that's the idea and the hope. This area. This is just a rough layout. So I want us to get everything moved. I don't want to rush this area, but I also don't want to spend forever over here, because we're going to come back to this area, detail it, and more than likely spend an entire episode right over here with the power plant, making it look really, really nice. And then over here with the water treatment facility. Keep in mind, once again, this is just getting these items over here so that we can then begin our industrial park rework in earnest. That is our focus. And now that I think about it, I think I want to do a couple large square parks here, like custom parks. So I think for now we're just going to mark these out with these roads. The roads might stay here, we'll see, or we might end up replacing them with large pavement. Yeah, so that's what we want. And we are out. Actually, you know what? I'm thinking, let's do this. So we're not guessing. We want this to be uniform, and we're not going to guess. I don't think that's quite. It's up. No. Let's delete that. That is actually not okay. We might need to, because you see the road is going angled up that. Maybe we need to. I'm counting the boxes to see how many. Let's count this side first. So there's 18 over here. So let's do 18 on this side so that they are even, and then we'll delete that middle part there. So that's 18 right here. So we need it right here. There we go. All right. And then we will delete this middle section. And then these two will be our custom park area that we will build later, but just so we have it visibly here, we will go ahead and put the surface in. We might add water features too, like a retention pond or something, just for more visual interest. So possibly a retention pond here, and then I'm going to replace the roads with wide pavement paths on either side. We'll do a retention pond, and then a connector walkway here and here. So I'm probably going to move this so it's lined up with this, so that makes more sense visually. So to be, or actually no, the building itself is probably, yeah, I want the building itself to be visually aligned with this, and I'm probably going to move this over so it's more square. But actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to square because this part does not look square, or is it? Anywho, so yeah, retention pond here in the center. We're going to replace the actual roads here with wide pavers and create a nice walking area and path connecting all of the different power plant complexes, or the entire power complex together. All right, so let's start moving some of this stuff over. Actually, you know, I want to move that first, the big one first. So I think we're going to delete this road here. And because this is a really big building. Yeah. And we need to connect the power. What's the actual? All right, let's go ahead and get this connected. I guess I could have just ran electricity. Actually, no, that one needs a different one. Never mind. Anyway, let's go ahead and for here, I will go ahead and have a 2-lane. Actually, no, we'll do.
It's ways. It changes ways. You never have better.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and just do this. And remember, these connectors are only temporary because this entire area is going to change. All right. So that has power. This is probably going to be green area. I think I want, because the path right here, I think I'm going to have a path here. It's going to come down here, go here, and then connect here. And then probably add, I don't know, some type of surface or something here to make these two feel connected, and it's just a direct, or might have paths here. We'll figure it out. But as I said, right now we're just getting the area laid out. We're not going to spend a ton of time over here detailing everything because that's not the focus today. I want us to get over to the industrial zone, and the traffic's doing exactly what we needed it to do for now. Yeah, they have a long haul here, but there will be actually not the retention fund. We'll see. All right, let's get these stuff moved from over here, and Let's see if that will work. I should have counted how many squares it is. And I have anarchy on. Let's see. Yeah. That should do the trick. Because I kind of want it to be a frontage road. And the reason I'm creating a frontage road once is I just want the traffic to not, you know, if somebody needs to come here, they can come in, exit, boom, and they're out. Since we're overlapping, where are we overlapping? I don't see it overlapping with anything. Maybe it's the back still. No. Okay, we're gonna use anarchy because there's, as you guys can see, there's nothing here that's overlapping. Typically, if something's overlapping, you will see what it's overlapping with. Like there'll be red. Like if I put it up here, you can see there's red, but it's still saying overlapping. But there's no indicator. So we're going to take a liberty here. And we're going to place it that way. And I was thinking it might have been this, but it's not even hitting the back of that. So I'm not quite sure how it thinks that there was a collision happening there when there wasn't. I think we might have a parking lot or something over here. And that'll more than likely there'll be some green here or something. We'll figure it out. Or maybe it's a tree line. Maybe it's a tree line and some greenery. Oh yeah. So the areas, it's gonna look kind of plain and boring right now, but that is okay because we're gonna come back and once we do the detailing and everything, this area is gonna look really nice. And while we're over here, I want to, okay, so that connects, this connects to the building as well. And I think this is the one where, so yeah, we'll have Liberty here. We're gonna lay these out so it looks like one. We'll actually probably create more local roads over here that will house these facilities, and we'll have them different angles just for better visual effect. Yeah. So we still have three more to move. And let's see how much electricity we're producing. Quite a bit. We still want to keep a buffer. And this is only using 3%. That could also be because we just replaced it. Well, actually, let's look at efficiency. It's 93%. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this open because I was thinking the reason I had this initially open because I thought I was gonna have, you know, some here in the middle, which I mean we still could do. And instead of having that retention pond, we could put two here. I mean, it still makes it look visually nice. And then I guess we could have a connector road going here in the middle. I don't know if I really want to do that because I feel that if we do that, then trucks will start circling unnecessarily for no reason. So let me know what you guys think. As I said, we can move stuff around in this area because what's here isn't permanent. I kind of want the structure of the road system to be permanent, but the buildings, we can move around. I don't know. I kind of like this here. I wanted that retention pond here, but I actually am kind of liking this right here. You know what? This isn't permanent, so let's just grab these, put these here, and see what works, what does not work. And honestly, I don't think if we do that, they don't need to be perfectly centered to each other. Just give it some visual depth and I don't really know if I want, because I feel like when you add more waypoints or access points, trucks will take it just for the sake of taking it, and there's no rhyme or reason why they're doing it. It just feels that there's like, oh, there's a new path. Let's just go ahead and take it. And then they end up going absolutely nowhere. So it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, so I was thinking, that's why I said I don't know with the road here. I know I'm not connecting that. Because the very thing I said I was worried about happening will for sure happen, where trucks are just coming through and then they'll just circle around and then they'll go back this way for no rhyme or reason. I don't hate this. I don't know. I think it's fairly distanced enough, and then I guess we can do another one of these frontage roads here to match this, and kind of we have some symmetry going on, and maybe another park or something right there between the two, or a parking lot area. We still have that one, and I believe this is a, yeah. All right, so now we're gonna move this one over here. One, three, four. I think we will keep this here.
Now entering Fit Digital Games. Prepare for sensory overload.
Digital! You a man or a mom? Digital! You ready for me? Digital! Come on down to Fit Digital. We'll hook you up to adrenaline overdrive. You'll be able to take this, then hit them with everything we've got. Digital! It's all out war.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get this connected to the power grid. All right. So we are all connected again. So, we need to move this. I don't know where we're going to move the bus depot. So I think for now, we're not going to worry about that today. Just because I feel that what is the point of moving it to a temporary area when we need to figure out all of this, and that's not going to happen until the industrial complex is completed. So I'm thinking that for now this could stay here. It probably will get temporarily rehoused somewhere. I just don't think that's going to happen today. And then let's go ahead and delete these power lines that we do not need any longer. And actually, we will. And we need to delete these, which are above ground. They're no longer needed. Oh, we deleted some rail. Go ahead and fix that. Yeah, that opened up quite a bit of space here. So we now have our first major separation of the industrial zone. And it actually made a really big difference already. Clear separation, and then we are going to get some further refinement there later. So let's see where we're going to put this small coal plant. We probably will get rid of it at some point just because we'll probably go to more efficient and healthier forms of electricity. I feel like that's just too much going on that side. Putting that there. I guess we'll do that. It matches up with that. Place. All right, awesome. So now we have all of, let's see, how many megawatts are these producing? We'll keep these here for now, but they're either going to be moved or I'm just going to purge them just because I want the power housed in a centralized location, which is going to be this area. I said this is going to be really nice once it's done. It's going to have parking lot. I might move these again because I kind of really like that retention pond idea, and I think it'll give this area some depth and it'll look super nice. So these will probably come out here into their own pockets. And then we'll have trees and the works to make this feel like one cohesive power producing complex. And then as you can see, the road is all wobbly here, so this definitely needs to be fixed. And let's go ahead and make Sycamore a one-way road. We might create some temporary fixes out here just to get things flowing. But once again, remember, the highway's going to be completely rethought. But we're not going to do that today. So there might be some temporary entry and exit points created just to test the fluidity of things, of traffic once it's done. So. And I think there are bus stop or what? Hold on, while we have this. Tis a dead end. So let's see if it's because of the crosswalk. It shouldn't be because of the crosswalk, right? Nope, it is because of the bus stop. Cool. So all we have to do here is hopefully move it over here. We'll fix that problem. Okay, there we go. And then we probably have another bus stop right here. And just like that, we fixed that problem that the AI does not like. I also feel that having all these crosswalks are just ridiculous. I think that they should be strategically placed where they make the most sense. So another thing that I'm going to do once we get enough of these buildings pruned out of here, I am going to create pathways for employees that work in the area. So like if you had a friend that worked in the area, you wanted to go have lunch, but you worked at different businesses, it'd be easier for them to get through, and then for transit and stuff like that. So it's just more thoughtful. Yeah, that is the plan.
Hi, Stanley. Isn't this a lovely place to shop? It sure is.
And it looks like the bottleneck is already resolved here on Sycamore. We'll see. I mean, it is early. I think that Sycamore is like normally around 1800 when it's the worst. Noon. It's traffic flow, traffic volume, 6 o'clock. Yeah. So. And then this bottleneck, like this needs to be one way as well, because I just don't know why this was never. Both of these should have been one way. Giving people too many options, and you end up with a nightmare when you give people too many options. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and delete this because that is really bothering me. I don't know what's going on with that road. This is 5 lanes. Yeah, that's awful. Yeah, we'll worry about that later. I don't know what happened right there. And right here, we are going to make this we're gonna make this one way because and in all honesty, why would trucks, yeah, Yeah, we're gonna make that. And traffic seems to run smoother already. These. And that's what I mean by things, because it's like, who would put this is what happens when you don't plan. Like, I wasn't planning, and I have a crematorium right here, I have a cemetery here, and then I have a tram depot right here. And you can see that it was clearly an afterthought. It was not, oh, let's do this right away now. So, yeah. Craziness. But the traffic seems a lot better. Highland was a problem, but it seems fine right now. Now we have an issue here at Glade Street. I'm going to remove any unsafe turns to see what happens there. And it looks like it's already working better. Let's fast forward this and let's let it run for a few minutes just to see. But it seems to have better flow already, and we didn't really do much. As you notice, we didn't add any roads. We simply reoriented the direction that the traffic flows. And it's actually a lot better. The vehicles don't have too many options of where they can go. And when you have fewer options or more selective options, it's easier to decide what to do and how to do it, right? This is doing a lot better. I'm surprised. It's actually really good. And I was out of my mind thinking that we were going to be able to do a lot in 2 hours or 3 hours. I mean, if we can go for another hour, we'll see. As I said, this is session 01, so this is going to be a complete series of reorganizing, re-envisioning this town. And then once we're done, this is going to be something special. Right now, it's just thought in the moment type of city. This is what you get when you have a city thought in the moment, not long term. Adding features as they come available versus planning them ahead of time so that you are not doing rehab, right? You're not revitalizing the city because of growth and it's doing the things. You're doing it because, like, look at this. This is just awful. There's green space here, but it's not well thought out, right? Like, would you want to live here this close? Like, yeah. I mean, there are cities that have buildings this close, but We want something that looks nice and allow the residents and workers to be able to breathe. So yeah, let's go back and see how our traffic is doing. It is running smoothly. And we haven't even done all that much. Like, yes, we moved the water treatment plant out. We relocated our power plants to a centralized area. And we just took roads and made them one way. And that took care of a lot of the problems here. Not to mention, we also increased our profitability. So we were at 480,000, and that was before we even added the new tile. So remember that when you purchase new tiles, that adds expense to your monthly and hourly budget, right? And I believe we added 8 tiles. We haven't deleted a single thing. Traffic's flowing smoother, which means businesses are able to get to where they need to more efficiently. The freights to commercial, which will then in turn increase the profitability of the commercial businesses. So these bubbles, if you guys are not familiar, high resource costs. So these particular businesses, like this one has metal ore, so we need metal ore for them. So right now we're not we're importing it. We're not creating it ourselves, so they're paying higher premiums for that. So what we could do is we could lower commercial taxes so that they can import those things. They have more money to import to meet their demand for their supply chain with the businesses that they are associated with. Same with this one. So we can go in here and this is the metal ore. And then we can look at the map. So we have area here, which we're not going to put that there. We have areas out here. So if by creating this type of industry, it will feed these businesses that can then make their product and ship it out to commercial businesses that will buy it, and then of course land in the hands of consumers. So this business is stone, so we can create a stone quarry. We're not going to do that today, but I'm just showing for those that don't know, you can go ahead and add these different resources within your own community that will then supply the industrial businesses, and it subsidizes so you don't end up with all of these bubbles, and they don't have. So this one's coal. So we're not going to worry about budgetary measures right now. We'll ignore that. But yes, we are, even with all of this going on, and our budget is still, our current trend is at 520. So we went up 40,000 an hour even after buying 8 new tiles. We have not demolished or pruned one building, and we redirected the flow of traffic so there's no more bottlenecks, and that instantly increased our profitability for the city, because once again, commercial businesses and offices are able to get the products and services that they need to produce their products, right? So that just goes to show you that adding roads is not always the answer to congestion or creating more freight lines. It is starting with your road hierarchy. Where do one-way traffic and access points make sense? limiting connection points to collectors and arterials, rounding off different roads, which I actually thought I was going to need to do, but I didn't actually have to do that here. I might do it for visual interest, but right now we're not going to change the road hierarchy because we still need to go in and prune businesses that are not performing. Like this business is bankrupt. Like they would not be around in real life being negative $977,000. This one's 300. So these are probably going to go. Then we're going to end up with trees. We're going to give these different buildings room to breathe. So look, this building has a balance of $423. Their rent is zero. So like, what are they really doing? Why are they here? Same thing with that building.
For the best in men's clothing, called trades. We have all the finest silk and many other.
We have a lot of businesses losing money.
Desire. We will lay out on the table and show you everything. Then we measure you to your tip, and you will love the thread we spoke.
So we're going to start purging. I think we're going to get rid of 1, 2. We'll leave that one. 3, 4. So we're only going to leave that building because this is the only building that's actually making money. Let me see. Well, let's see. We might leave these 2. And we'll see what happens. This is a bit tricky to make sure I don't dezone the wrong building. So we will. The only one we're going to leave is this one. We'll keep that one. Now, keep in mind as well, whenever you're pruning buildings, keep in mind that even a building that is failing is giving a false positive boost to the economy. So if you're removing level 5 buildings and you end up replacing it, keep in mind that your budget will take longer to come back just because those buildings are going to start at level 1 again. Level 1 buildings are not all that profitable. So just be conscious when you're dezoning level 5 buildings. And if you're wondering why it's affecting your profit, and as you can see, we're still going up, even though I've removed buildings and we're on speed 3. We still are. We dropped a little bit. So that's what kind of what I was expecting to happen. Let's just see how much it drops. Okay, now it's starting to drop up, and it went back up. So the point is that I'm not just dezoning businesses randomly. I'm picking them based on This one's negative almost $1.1 million, but it is level 5. So if it can have an adverse effect where it makes the hourly profitability drop, whereas this one will make it drop too, but it's level 3, so it's not going to be as detrimental as level 5. But once again, look at how much money we have. Look how much we were making per hour. Even if I cleared the majority of this out, we still would be okay for a while, even if we went in the red and then we rebuilt intentionally to maximize the buildings that were left, or that we created again, and we added businesses as the demand rose. So it's okay to ignore these demand bars. This does not mean you have to continuously keep building to satisfy them and get them empty. You build to you've crossed a certain milestone that you wanted, and then you build some more, or you allow the game or your city itself to tell you when you should and should not expand. So yes. So for now, I'm just going to put green surface in here. It'll also give us a good way to know where we've already worked. And we might rework the road, but I don't think that that's necessary right now at the current moment, because once again, we've allowed the simulation to run for quite a while here. I'll say maybe about 10 minutes or so. And as you can see, the traffic is flowing perfectly. No major issues. Let's just look over here to see what's going on. This area is not really our main focus right now. So yeah, you can see these bottlenecks up here. So this goes to show you, this is exactly what we took care of over here. If you remember at the offset of the video, the beginning of the video, Sycamore was a two-way street. It was acting as a hybrid arterial and connector. We then made it a one-way street. Trucks know where to go. They're turning like butter. Even though butter, I guess butter can turn like that or something. Anywho, as you can see, the trucks are not having any issues going into the businesses that they need, picking up or dropping off materials, supplies, and just as quickly exiting the interior, the industrial zone to wherever they're headed to. So this is great. This is great. Even though this highway is just a nightmare, and I know what I was trying to execute here, but yeah, it just looks like a flat circular wannabe. Like there's just not enough traffic. I mean, you see people using it, but it needs a lot of work. But I'm very happy. We did a lot, but we didn't do a lot, right? And it still, let's check the budget up. We're at 535,000, so it's still increasing. So it just goes to show you guys, you do not have to keep building, destroying things, which we did. And we do not destroy things on this channel. We refine things, we prune, and you have to look at it in real life. What happens in real life when businesses fail? They sit abandoned for a while. The city or a new company buys that building. They either reuse it, renovate it, or they bulldoze it and repurpose it. So that's all we're doing here. We're not demolishing things. We are repurposing. Businesses in real life go out of business when they are not profitable. So we took out profitable business. Those profitable businesses told the city of New Aldrin, you know what? Thank you. We did our best. We're no longer making money, so we are going to have to close our doors. And the city's like, okay. And we waited a couple years. Nobody bought the land, so the city reclaimed it. and we decided to make it green area for now, and probably for the foreseeable future, because we want to allow the ground pollution to clear up a bit, which I also think is ridiculous. Like, the water treatment plant was here, and then I think there might be, okay, this is just commercial. I didn't know if we had any medium or high density residential buildings over here. But even so, I mean, as you can clearly see, being that it's a lot of pollution over here, and there's a park right here, like, yeah, look at the ground pollution. That is insanity. That is awful. These buildings are not going to go to level 4 and 5. Why? Because the land value is awful. It's in gray, and it's like, this should not be in gray. You want your office buildings, especially your office buildings and your commercial buildings, to be in this blue area. This is high valued land. And it's typically because of services, parks, schools, things of that nature that help to increase the land's value as it would in real life. So more amenities, better quality of life, higher land value. So as you can see, all of this is going to come out at some point, and I really spent a lot of time on the circle. So throughout the series, once we get to this part of the city, if you guys could leave comments letting me know what you would like to see here once we get to that part, that would be great. I do intend on making a lot more green areas here. We're going to add trees to make it feel more blocked off and intentional, as you would see in any modern industrial park. So once we get this done, then we will focus on this area. And once we get all of the industrial blob broken up into 2 distinctive industrial parks, we will focus on supplying these businesses with the resources that they need locally so they can become more profitable. And this number will go up. And yeah, I also learned in new games how to take care of this. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a bug. It's not. Yes and no. I think at some point the waiting for a hearse was a bug. I still get this in my newer cities, but not as much as I used to. It's just knowing where to strategically place the crematorium and in your cemeteries, so that pathfinding doesn't become a logistical nightmare, and you end up with all of these annoying bubbles of dead people all over your map. Because it seems like for some reason the simulation likes everybody to die at the same exact time. So you just have mass funerals every weekend. And I think these bubbles are starting to pop up because we did prune some of the buildings. Or hypothesis number 2 is that these bubbles popped up because now these businesses can perform better, and they now know, oh, well, now we can actually get our trucks to the businesses that want our goods, but we don't have the natural source or the raw resources to make our final products. So I believe that is why we are now seeing all of these bubbles that we did not see at the offset of the game. I think this is a good place to stop, because we did accomplish more than I was anticipating a lot sooner. So I probably will go live again next week. So stay tuned. I will post a streaming upcoming video then. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you all later. Bye bye. Happy Sunday.